Welcome to Python with Andrew, where we look at basics of Python and how we can learn some of the simple instructions and simple data structures. Today, we're going to look at for loops again. This time, we're going to look at nested loops. In other words, loops inside of loops and how we use that to process a table. Let me jump over to... And you can see I've already got some code here. Now, I've built this table into my program here, and I've made it a list of lists. I've sort of set it out so it looks like a table. But a table is a very, very big part of processing data. Many, many things can be thought of as a table. We're used to seeing things like in Excel, where we have rows and rows and rows of data, columns and columns and columns of data. So that would be a table. Another one to look at a table is a simple file. Even this particular file here, if it has rows and rows, it has 22 rows, and each of those rows has some characters or it has a string. So to process that file, we could read one row and then look all across and look at the various words and letters and try and understand the meaning and do something with them. So the table is really, really a powerful structure. And one of the ways to think of them is a list of lists. It could be a list of strings or a list of lists. We're going to do a very similar one where we have a list of lists. So row 1 would be this row here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Row 2 would be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And row 3, 11 to 15. Now, what I want to do is do 2 loops so I can look at every one of those elements and do something with them. Now, in this example, all I'm going to do is add 1. But you'll see that I could do many, many other things with that. All we need to focus on now is the fact we've got nested loops. So let's have a look at it. We have our data structure, our table. 3 rows and 5 columns. I've created a variable number of rows, which is the length of the table, which is 1, 2, 3. And then the number of columns, which is the length of the first row there, which is 5, which would be the number of columns. That, of course, is assuming all the columns are the same, or all the rows are the same. For this example, it is. So when I print the table, we would expect it to look something like this, maybe not the same format, but also the same values. But now I'm going to do nested loops. So my first loop is going to look at the rows. So it's going to go this one, then this one, then this one, one row at a time. So each row down, I'm going to work on that. And then the second loop, I'm going to go through every column within those rows. And in this case, all I'm going to do is update the row and column to the row and column plus 1. All right, so very simple process this here, but I could, if you like, make that as complex as possible. So imagine if this was an Excel file, it would look, all I'm doing is updating 1 on every cell in my Excel file, using that nested for loops and this table here. And then I'm going to print the table at the end. So if I do that there, you'll see on the right-hand side our original table, and then our next table is just everything with 1 added to it. So this is a really good technique, a very simple technique, where we are really saying we need to process lots of data in a structure, and it's going to be something we're going to use further on when we want to process an Excel file, for example, and process a text file, and so on. We're going to continually look at this nested loop idea. It's a very, very basic technique, but something we use a lot in Python, especially when we're talking about files or records in a database, things that we need to do in 2 dimensions. Now, of course, I could move this to make it 3 dimensions and 4 dimensions, and do some complex data science with that, but I'm not going to do that today. That's not the focus here. So that's about it. Nice and simple. 2 nested for loops. Very, very powerful. You'll use it very, very often. Again, thanks for joining me. If you like what you see, please subscribe to see more. And also, please share this with your friends. Thank you and have a good day.